So the first thing you want to do is get the piece cut out and denubbed. And as you can see, we're gonna start out with a pretty plain piece. But the first thing we're gonna do is apply some panel line accent color. Make sure it's very well shaken. And the most important part of this step is just to go very light, because the piece you're dealing with is obviously very, very tiny, and if you're not careful, this stuff will eat away at your piece. So I like to start at the most recessed kind of piece I can find, which is usually, of course my glove's in the way, somewhere in the middle. There we go. So there's the figure there, and I'm gonna start kind of on the belt where that stripe kind of goes up and down the body, and just apply a little bit. Wish this would stay in focus. Just apply a little bit, and it will start to run up and down the figure. And as I do this, I like to blow on it, just to make sure it dries and spreads around, because with the panel line accent color, the most important thing is just to make sure that all of it dries, because if it doesn't, that's where you will start to have problems and your pieces will crack or it'll eat through them. So, oops, sorry, I didn't realize that. It wasn't on the camera. So, as you can see, we're bringing out a lot of detail now. So go up and down the body, on the boots. And I haven't dipped this back in the bottle yet. This is just the first, go around. So there's not much on the brush here at all. There's probably more solvent than there is pigment. But that's okay, because we don't really need much. We just want to gently highlight these lines and try to bring out this detail. And this will work for like any pilot figure, any generic pilot figure. If you want to do a specific figure or character, this tutorial might not work for you, but you can probably get something from it. But if you just want to paint up like a generic grunt pilot, then this should help you out a lot, especially just if you don't paint them at all right now. This little add a bit of detail really looks cool to paint it in a finished kit. So that's pretty much enough. There's not much detail in the back there, so yeah, that's pretty much enough. I'm gonna give this a little more air, let it dry, make sure it's dry. Make sure you're doing this in front of like a bright light or like a nice light source, so you can actually see and make sure that it's drying. Because like I said before, if it doesn't, you'll have problems. So, and the panel liner will dry matte, so shine it, look around in the light and look for any glossiness in the black. If you see glossiness, give that some air, blow on it, whatever you do, get your compressor out, and get rid of it. Because what you really want is to make sure all that dries, because if it doesn't, you will have problems, especially on a piece this small. But as you can see, it dries really quick. It's pretty much already, it's good to go. It looks like it's pretty much dry. So the next step is to get your, whatever you use to clean off the panel liner. I like to use lighter fluid. If you use something different, by all means get that. Here's a tip though, if you use lighter fluid, if I can get the bottle open. Heard a lot of people say they have problems using it, like they'll go to do it and it'll take off too much of the line, or it'll just wash the whole thing away. So what I usually do is I soak it like I just did, and then usually I'll take my shirt or my or whatever pants I'm wearing, and I'll just kind of pinch the fabric around it and then squeeze it out. For the purpose of the tutorial, I'll use like a paper towel, but I'll just pinch two pieces of fabric together, put this in the middle, and kind of roll it, because you want to draw out. So here you go. I don't know if you guys can see that. We drew out like probably 90% of that thinner just now, or that lighter fluid just now. And essentially this Q-tip is almost like a dry brush, but with thinner on it. So, just going in one direction, either up or down or left or right, brush the figure, and pull off all that excess. Sorry, it's hard to do this in frame. This thing is so tiny. I'm used to doing this right up to my face. And then brush it and get all the extra pigment off the figure. And you should see a lot of this detail being very nicely brought out. Sometimes like these parts are harder to get where they get close together, but it's all good. So he's looking pretty cool now. Definitely a lot more detailed than he was a minute ago. So you might need to put a little more thinner on there. I don't think I'm gonna have to. I think I should have enough to do the back real quick. I'll speed this part up. So as you can see, scraped all the little nooks and crannies best we can. And we pulled out all that extra stuff. So normally there is a little bit of a method to the madness when you do these, at least I found. I like to do the parts in which I mess up easily first. So on some of these, you'll see, for instance, on these two, the hands, the gloves, are touching another part, which is, the face. Or this one, he's holding on to something. So for these particular ones, I like to do the hands first, because I know that the hands are probably going to be the part that I mess up. So I mess up, I can easily just drop it in some X20 A, some thinner, and easily get rid of that and just continue on right where I left off. It won't even wash off the panel liner. For this particular figure, he's holding all of his limbs out, so that doesn't really matter where we start. What I'm going to use is a toothpick to apply the paint, and I guess for him, we're just going to start with the boots. So for the boots, I like to use black, and this is my airbrush black. Hold on. So for my boots, I like to use black. I use the X1 gloss black. Make sure it's well shaken. This is the last little bit in this bottle. Make sure it's well shaken, and then using your toothpick, you can really easily apply this stuff smoothly. So I have a pre-sharpened toothpick. I kind of took this before the video and gave it a sharpen. You can't really tell now, it looks kind of dull. But it's good enough. Let's make sure I'm in the frame here. And now you have these lines highlighted, right? So you can easily just go right up with the line. I suggest doing this without gloves on because there's a little bit more control. So, okay, we're way down here. All right. So, as you can see, you have some really nice guidelines. Just put that on. The more challenging parts will be these parts, especially with the camera in my face, or a phone, whatever these things are. So those lines make it really easy. And as you can see, it already looks like the gray looks like a flight suit or like a mechanic suit or something like that. So if you really wanted to, you could panel line them and call them done. Let's get the last little bit of this boot here. And then have some something on standby to put this on or in to dry. I like to have some silly putty or sticky tack, or whatever you may call it in your locale, around. I usually have some stuck to the wall because I use it so much. Or my computer or what have you. I'm totally out of frame here, I'm sorry about that. And you don't have to do the bottoms, I just do because I'm a perfectionist. And set this in a secure space to dry. This probably won't need too long. Because you toothpicked it on, it's a little bit thicker, so it will need probably 5 minutes, but maybe no more than 10 or 15. It should be dry by then. And you can easily speed up the drying process with like a hair dryer or a compressor or something of the like. And if you mess up at all, it's really easy. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. If you mess up at all, it's really easy to just take the toothpick and wipe it away. So I made a little error where I went over, let's see. I should probably invest in a camera pretty soon. An actual video camera. There's a little bit of a raise in the black right there. I don't know, you guys can probably barely see it. But it's really easy to come in here with the toothpick and just wipe it away. Now it's just a small detail. I mean, you probably don't even really need to fix that, but oops, I just touched my figure. But just case in point, it is really easy to fix. And if you get too much, it's cool too, because you can just easily put it back. And I think he's good. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna return in a minute to do the gloves and the visor. Okay, so now you get the nice guidelines. The boots are painted. You guys can probably figure out how to do the gloves and the backpack. It's the same thing. But now for the visor. You could use like just an opaque blue, like a light blue or a light green, whatever. And that would probably look fine. Or mix them with some silver and get some, almost like some Gundam camera kind of glimmery action in there. That'd look cool too. But I like to personally use a clear color, like this Tamiya X20 clear blue. This is my preferred one to use. I've also tried the clear green, looks okay. Clear yellow doesn't really work at all. If you're doing like a green figure, like on the Zaku over here, he's got a green pilot inside, so I used a black, just black visor for him, because the blue and green didn't really have the depth I wanted. I like to use the clear colors because they have a little bit of depth. So using the toothpick again, we're just gonna do the same thing. No gloves this time. I hate my hands and kind of insecure about them, whatever, but this works better without gloves, so I'm not gonna use gloves in my videos, so I hope you don't mind. So taking your figure, let's open up our blue first. Make sure this is nice and shaken, although I found it doesn't really, it suspends in the solution pretty well, so you don't really need to shake it that much. I like to use what's in the cap. Grabbing your figure. This part's pretty easy. It seems like it'd be like really hard, but you have those nice lines there, so that's what makes this literally a breeze. Dip this in here. Let's make sure I'm in frame here and focus. And that's dry, so I don't really gotta worry about it. And just drop some of this blue paint in there. And as you can see, it pools up in the area you highlighted with almost no effort. Give it a little rotation so you can get the other side. And just dab that in there. So, there you go. Let's zoom in here. So we missed a spot there. Go light with this stuff. I actually just put too much on there. And same thing, if you get too much, you can just wipe it off with the other side of the can't think right now. The stick I'm holding. Okay. So that's it. That's about it. So let that dry, and you will have a little dude like this. There we go. As you can see, I used the gray for the gloves, I used black for the boots, clear blue for the visor, and then he has a gray backpack on, or a jetpack, whatever that is. So these things really add a lot of life to your kits. I definitely recommend trying it out, giving it a shot. It's super easy. You cannot fuck this up, I guarantee it. The only way you can is just if you use too much channel liner on your guys and melt through them, but it really is a little, you know, it's a cool addition to have to your setup. And here's what they kind of look like. Oops, he's not standing right. All finished. And this is my Saku 2.0 in the hanger. And that's all there is to it, guys. So hope you learned something from this video. Hope it was enjoyable, helpful. I'm missing one. Anyways, all right, that's about it. So I'll talk to you guys soon. See you in the next video. Peace. Okay, don't worry. I found him. We're clear for launch now.